Hey everybody, I thought I'd take this opportunity to give you guys a bit of a rundown on how to actually look up and hopefully find academic research using the Steen Library searching system. Now, this can be applied in any class that you're taking in the mass communication master's program, as well as any other research that you might be using. It's a wonderful, wonderful resource that you have at your disposal, but you really need to know how to use it. First off, before we get into the details, let me kind of give you an understanding of how what we're about to look at differentiates from, say, other types of search mechanisms. Now, you may be familiar, I'm assuming, with just Googling or searching articles in various ways. One of the most common things we see in academia as we start teaching research is that the first thing someone will do is try and probably go to a normal major web crawler or search tool like Google, and then we'll just start searching through that. Well, that is definitely one way of doing it. Lord knows I've done it myself. But what you're going to get more often than scholarly research projects or scholarly research articles, maybe blogs, maybe paid for websites, may even be things like newspaper articles or magazine articles, and those have their own place. But academic journal articles are very, very different. They are more rigorously written, constructed, and peer-reviewed. This means that after you write a research article, numerous scholars in the field are required to go in, take a look at it, make sure that the methodology is correct, that it's theoretically sound, before it becomes published or before it gets published in a journal. So it takes your research to a whole different level. Understanding how to get to this information is something that will help you out tremendously. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Steen Library website. So this is what you get if you go to the Steen Library main page. Now, you can get here several ways. You can just go into a major search bar and type in SFASU Steen Library, and you should come to this. You can also go through the SFA website and find this website as well. But once you get here, you basically just start with a search. Now, I'm going to make this pretty simple at first and just type in, let's say, video games, and I'll click that. And this brings us into our search results. Now, on the left, you'll notice that we have books and various other resources. On the right, we generally have articles. Now, they are very different in so much as how much content is available to you, but we're just going to work with articles right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click the Articles and More subhead to expand this out to the full screen. Okay, now, just with video games, if I were looking for just articles that had to do with video games, this is what I get in results. Now, I have a tremendous amount of results, and one of the things that often turns students off on this is that it just seems like it's impossible to find what you want to find sometimes. Now, a lot of this comes down to knowing the terminology you're looking for. So it may not be just video games that I'm looking for. What are some cross-reference terms? And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. The other is to try and limit what you're finding to just the type of material that you really want. For example, over here on the right, I can actually see various limiting and refining search tools. For example, I want to limit the articles from scholarly journals, including peer-reviewed. So, in this case, I'm going to get rid of magazine articles. I'm going to get rid of blog posts, things that are not peer-reviewed, things that are not from scholarly journals. I'm also going to limit the articles to just those that have a full text that I might be able to download. So that's going to be helpful to me. Wonderful. So now I've got just articles here that should come from a peer-reviewed journal, like Journal of Neuroscience. And if I click on this, and I just right-clicked, I should be able to click here and download the full article. I'm just going to log in real quick. And this should take me to, there it is, the full article. And I can download it if I choose. Download the PDF is usually what I do. So now I've limited my search terms to just articles from peer-reviewed journals and just articles with full text available. Now, I can even go further and click on particular formats, but I've already pretty much refined this. Now, I can go down and look in particular subject areas. So, for example, if I only wanted to find those articles that were from peer-reviewed journals and did have full text, but were only from, let's say, journalism and communication. When I click this, it will get rid of anything that's maybe biological or things that are looking at biological impact of video games, or maybe sociology, and it will particularly look at articles from the field of journalism and communication. So we're just limiting and refining our search over and over again. Now, something else to take a look at, sometimes you may want to make sure that you are talking about the right language. Most of these would be English language articles. But one of the things I usually do is go in and actually refine the date. So try and find the most contemporary articles I can, and maybe set this to the last 10 years, just to see what is going on. So let's say 2008 to 2018. Once I set that, this will give me the most contemporary articles, and I could go even more contemporary than that. But now I've really refined the articles I'm looking at to just those that are most current. Now, if I wanted to, I could certainly grab a name of a journal article and put it up in the search field and find that article itself. But if I'm just basically doing my first run through and trying to gather articles to start doing research, this is a good way of starting. Now, let's say I wanted to refine this further. Not only am I looking for journal articles from scholarly journals that are peer-reviewed, that have full text, from journalism and communication, but also from 2008 to 2018. But what if there's something very particular that I wanted to look at with video games? So for example, if I'm looking at video games and I want to also cross-reference something like violence, what I can do here is actually put in some search terms. Now, if I put in all capital letters, video games and violence, that and creates a combination search between video games and violence. And when I search this, what I should start finding are articles. Yep, there they are. Articles, and again, I got kicked out, that include both video games and violence in the name or description of this article. Now, again, I'm going to limit to just scholarly articles and just those with full text. Wonderful. And I could go in and I could look at the different areas again if I wanted to, but ultimately I'm very targeted here. Now, what if I'm coming up with a lot of video game or a lot of articles that are talking about video games and violence, even if I didn't put the and violence in, but I said, you know what, really, I'm not looking for violence. What I could do is put in video games, not violence. And what I'll get here is a search that basically says, I'm looking for video games, but eliminate anything that has to do with violence in video games. So with video games, not violence, I've created an and or an or statement. So, or rather, nor. In other words, I get articles that have to do with video games, but anything that has to do with video games and violence is kept out of my search. Now, I could go or here, and what I should get is anything that has to do with video games or violence, and it's probably casting a pretty big net here. So this one kind of is an and or. options. So anything that has to do with video games, anything that has to do with violence, and anything that has to do with video games and violence would generally pop up at this point. That's a way of helping you kind of refine your search even more. So this is all something that you can do to help you find an article that might be of benefit to you. Let's just click on this one and take a look at it for a second. The benefits of playing video games. We generally would have the name of the article, the abstract for the article, and then a short explanation of where the article came from. American Psychologist, Volume 69, Number 1, page 66 through 78. This is all something that could be very important to you guys. Okay, so if you are looking for an article like this one, The Benefits of Playing Video Games, and maybe you aren't able to find the article here, like it's not available for you to download. With this one, I believe we could probably pull it out. Yeah, there it is, and I can download the full text if I want. But if I can't, we can actually do what's called an interlibrary loan. Now, these can actually be digital. I've done this quite a bit where you may not be able to find the article. Maybe it's not available within this platform. What you can do, let's open up the interlibrary loan. What you can do is go to this option, and again, right here, to go to interlibrary loan, and simply fill out the pertinent information about your article right here. Now, even if you don't have all of this information, usually if you have the title of the journal that it appears in, the article title, and some details about the date, they can usually find it, and they'll usually email it directly to you in usually about a week, maybe less. So this is another way that you can actually find the articles you're looking for. Okay, hopefully this has helped you quite a bit. If you're using the Steen library system, that should help you find the articles you need in a pretty timely manner. Now, again, this is where research starts. Find the articles you need, review the articles, and then expand from those articles. So as you read through an article from, say, 2014, if you find that it references an article from 2007, maybe you go back and you find that article from 2007 using the Steen system again. Maybe that article even goes further back in whatever theory you're looking at, and you go back and you find that article. In many cases, you can trace it back down to a core theory or a core concept that may help you tremendously when it comes to making arguments or figuring out how to do a research project of your own later on. So that's how we expand out our literature review. Maybe we start with 5 articles, and as we read through those, we find more articles in the 5 original ones, and we expand, and we expand, and we expand into areas that we may not have been counting on first. So hopefully this helps. If you have any concerns, you can ask me or whoever your professor is who's teaching your class. And any of us would be happy to probably walk you through some of the Steen library system. You can also call Steen Library itself. Their contact information is right there at the bottom of their page. You can email them, you can call them, and they will help you walk through the system as well. Hope this helps. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask.